Woo! Hey everybody, I'm Jim Sammons and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live. As always, brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company. Today we're going to have a Victory at Sea Imperial Porter with coffee and vanilla. Hopefully this one doesn't spill over my keyboard like last time. Safe. Tasty one. So I don't know if you guys saw, but I kind of did a pre-live show, trying to increase that reach. Like I've mentioned before, Facebook is kind of stomping on our reach. We're getting less than 1% is where Facebook sends out our videos to people. So your guys' help certainly is a big one. If you can all give us that thumbs up, if you can comment, participate in the shows, and of course, share with your friends. Anybody who's new to the show, every Tuesday and Thursday, we do these live shows where we air previous episodes of the TV show. On Tuesdays, we do the Jackson Kayak years, so kind of the newer stuff. On Thursdays are the Ocean Kayak years, or the old stuff. You know, we've been on the air for 12 seasons now, and this we've already aired like 2 seasons worth. So this is actually episode 1 of season 3, but we can't do that without all the help of our sponsors. So take a look at those sponsors that are scrolling across the bottom, including Ballast Point, Seagar, Jackson Kayak, all these great sponsors who help us put these shows on. Support them so they help support us so we can keep doing this. I see there's already a couple of comments here. Liam Young, always joining us from Kayak Fishing Tales. And again, you know, I do suggest that you maybe watch these at Kayak Fishing Tales, because you can subscribe over there and hit the buttons where it notifies you when we come on live, which doesn't seem to be happening with Facebook. I said my thing is, like, I always thought if you subscribe to a page, that meant you wanted to see their stuff and Facebook would send it to you, but that's not the way it works. Unfortunately, it's a pay to play thing, and I just don't have the money to pay to get you guys to see that we're coming live. So Sean Russell, how you doing, man? I appreciate it. Gabriel from Argentina, man, I got to get to Argentina. My guest and I know he wants to go to Argentina because I know he wants to go catch some golden dorado with me. Black Flag Fishing, made it back in. Glad you did. Andrew, thanks for joining us again. You know, the nice thing, again, I talk about Kayak Fishing Tales. The nice thing about Kayak Fishing Tales is it's a lot easier to search for the old episodes than it is on Facebook. So, Brian Young, how you doing? And Terry watching from Florida. So, with no further ado, I'm going to bring up my good friend, Craig Miller. Craig is basically a client of mine, a former client, had been on a lot of guided trips with me when I was guiding down in Southern Baja. He and his awesome wife, Kelly. And we just became friends, and he ended up coming on a shoot for my show down in Panama. So there he is. Well, let's fix that. Hey. Craig, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about you, James?
Good. How's the weather in Colorado?
It's sunny and maybe 50 today. So kind of, you know, pretty mild winters here. Nothing like the San Diego folks, though. But yeah, it's pretty nice.
It's toasty down here today. So, Craig, I mean, you're, obviously you live in Colorado, but kind of got into the big game kayak fishing.
Yeah, right. So I always fished a lot, fly fished here and did the whitewater kayaking here. And I think I saw your pick in National Geographic years ago and ended up just Googling your name and calling you up and was out there with some family over a holiday and we went fishing, and the rest is kind of, you know, in the books.
Well, how many? I mean, you came down to Baja with me, what, 6-7 times?
It's maybe twice a year for a handful of years, and a few times on our own. And then I don't know. Definitely went to Alaska and Texas and Florida with some mutual friends, and pulled on fish from a kayak all over the world, either with you or with some mutual friends. So
yeah. And initially down in Baja, the rooster fish and Dorado, and always having your wife Kelly along, or a lot of times having Kelly along, and
half the time.
On the hunt for billfish.
Billfish down there.
Yeah, well, the thing was, I know you were on the hunt for a long time, and it's just like, because it's not you go for billfish, you go for the apex predator. It's not a guarantee.
No, it's just paddling, cover the ground. Sometimes you catch, sometimes you don't. But we ended up back to back to back. Maybe we got 3 down there.
I mean, like I said, you waited quite a few trips until you got one, and then it was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, but we always caught fish, Dorados and Roosters, and we made a few tunas down there too, right?
Yep, tunas, jacks. I mean, it was an awesome place. I mean, I love the East Cape. I really particularly miss Punta Colorada.
Yep.
We were guiding at Punta Colorada and Rancho Leonero, but Punta Colorada was just something special about it.
Yeah. Yep. Old Mexico.
It definitely had more of an old Mexico vibe to it. And I mean, but so cool. And fishing with our buddy Alonzo.
Yeah.
Just laughing on the Bohemia initially. I mean, that whole boat falling apart, and just so many good times there. And then I said this trip came up to Pesca Panama. I had been to Pesca Panama the year before and got really, really big tuna. And something happened and a trip came up available, and I contacted you, and you're like, I'm down. We'll come.
Let's go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so you and your wife came, and it was a very cool place, and just a super cool operation. Now, the operation was Pesca Panama. I'm going to stop this banner going by on the bottom here. It was Pesca Panama. Now, I just I was trying to check out their website is still there.
Yeah.
But there's like information about trips, information about pricing. None of that goes anywhere. None of the links go anywhere. Yeah. So I'm not even 100% sure if Pesca Panama is still in existence, but it was so different than other types of trips with that floating lodge.
Yep.
Being able to, because basically what would happen, folks, is you would sleep on the lodge. They would set up base in the lee of an island or something, and it doesn't look like much. It's like a barge, but the food was great, and their power boats were awesome.
Yep. And
so you would spend the night in the lee of an island, and then you would take off on their fishing boats. We'd throw the kayaks on the fishing boat, and we'd run to somewhere, and then the floating lodge would relocate to another place while you were fishing all day.
Yep.
So it was very cool being able to fish different destinations every single day.
Yeah, you'd run out in the morning, and then the boat would catch up with you, and you'd have a third of the trip back in at night and stay on the hotel or stay on the floating boat at night. It was awesome. Great service, nice folks. The boat drivers were good. The deckhands were good. So it was a good, unique place.
Yeah, it was super cool. And like I said, they very well could still be in operation, and they've just got things locked down, because I know Panama was super locked down for COVID. So maybe that's the case. But like I said, the website's still there. There is still contact information, but information about the trips just isn't there anymore. It's really kind of strange. Let's see. There was a couple comments here. Pamela Worth, wish you had subtitles so I could watch at work. Yeah, that's one thing that with this software, I can't do. Now, if I was doing it through native Facebook, I can do that. But then I don't have the green screen. I don't have the ability to put comments on screen like this. So, you got to figure out which one makes the most sense. But I do appreciate you watching, Pamela. And the nice thing is you can always go back and watch these things later. There was somebody else. Deborah saying, hi, everyone. How you doing, Deborah? Let's see, Gabriel, how you doing? I'm here trying to pay a shipment and then go to the United States to fish, to live, fish, make videos of sea and freshwater fishing. So you want to come to the U.S., and then I want to go to Argentina. We could swap for a little bit, as long as your Argentina is a place to fish. David's checking in from Ireland, another place I would love to go, even if it's not to fish. It looks like a very beautiful country, and I just haven't spent any time in that part of the world. Tom likes my victory at sea. Craig, I saw you sipping on something earlier. What did you have?
I have a Cutwater vodka soda.
Cutwater, another one of our good friends. They were actually the guys who started Ballast Point. Yep. And Cutwater's been coming out with some great stuff lately. Their mules, the White Russian, super tasty as a dessert drink. Yep. Gene Wilson, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us. Gene, you like my hat? Yeah, you know what's funny is I like this NRS hat. Like I said, we've got this show coming up on Wednesday, a special show with the guys from NRS because we have started a new partnership with them. And this one's got the green logo on it, so it gets all weird with my green screen, and I kind of like it. Looks like it's alive. What is that? Nice hat, nice beard. Yes, this is my COVID beard. And I've got my COVID hair. It is as long as I've had it in forever. But hopefully I'm able to travel again. I do have a trip planned for March, so I'll probably cut it then. But not until. I told my wife I'm not cutting it till I can travel again. So anyway, with no further ado, we're going to get this episode started. Again, this is season 3, episode 1, our trip to Panama with Craig and Kelly Miller. Let's bring it up on screen.
This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, I'm headed to the west coast of Panama to Coiba Island. I'm joined by my good friends Craig and Kelly Miller for a luxury off-road fishing trip aboard the Pesca Panama sport fishing floating lodge. Over the next couple days, we're going to hook into the plentiful rooster fish, and I plan on conquering the giant tuna that are stacked up on the legendary Hannibal Banks. Those tuna really got me last time, but this time I have a plan. Stay tuned. The action begins now.
Now.
At the forefront of any sport, you inevitably find someone pushing the limits. While kayak fishing has been exploding in popularity, Jim Sammons has been doing just that.
Yeah, look at these. Nice.
From the seat of his ocean kayak, Jim challenges the world's top game fish and puts his kayak fishing skills to the ultimate test.
Never fought a kayak, have you, fish?
From freshwater to saltwater, Jim's mission is simple: to discover the best fishing destinations in the world and prove that anything is possible from a kayak.
A healthy fish. Oh, nice.
And the little one got away. Ocean Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak, makers of the Trident and Ultra series of fishing kayaks. Ex Officio, made to adventure. Seagar, always the best fishing line. Mustad, haul in a record, haul off the cash. Hook One Kayak Fishing Gear. Get everything you need to get out there and hook one. Standard Horizon. Nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. And the Heliconia Press. cutting-edge outdoors media. This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, Jim heads back to one of his favorite places in the world to fish, Panama.
You know, I do trade shows, talk to people about fishing and about our trips all the time, and it always comes up, you know, if you only could go back to one place, where would that be? The first one that always just jumps to my mind is Pesca Panama.
The last time Jim was in Panama, a 140-pound yellowfin tuna showed him the limits of what was possible from a kayak. After 2.5 hours of furious fighting, he needed the help of his friend Captain Tomasino to land the massive fish. Since then, Jim has been devising a plan to defeat his own personal Moby Dick.
Gonna run out to Pesca Panama this afternoon and start fishing tomorrow.
Now, 2 years later, Jim is hooking up with Pesca Panama sport fishing once again to search for the monster tuna and explore the Pacific coast around Coiba Island, a spectacular tropical island that hosted a penal colony and remained closed to the public until 2004. With the lack of development making access to the area difficult, the floating Pesca Panama Fishing Lodge provides ideal access to one of the most productive and least pressured sport fishing grounds in the world.
So here we are in Panama. Excited to be back. Brought along a couple of good friends of mine, Craig and Kelly Miller, and they've both done a lot of kayak fishing. Craig's a member of our Billfish Club. He's got a sail and a striped marlin, so he wanted to come down here after hearing everything I told him about Panama. He wanted to come down here and see what it was like, so
Ready to go?
Well, in 2004, we were on vacation in Southern California visiting family, and Craig had seen Jim in National Geographic, I believe. He came down, stalked him on the internet, and ended up going fishing. And he was hooked.
we're here, man. We're here at the dock of David, and we're ready to get on the Pesca Panama and go get us some fish, man. I'm so freaking fired up. This is my favorite trip we've done, and we get to do it again. So the barge is up the river out.
So I'm going to pause that just for a second. Craig's wife, Kelly, is so sarcastic. And Craig is so sarcastic. That's why I think we all get along so well. There's a lot of ball busting goes on when we're together. So to get to Pesca Panama, they're based in David. So you fly into Panama City and then spend the night there in like this, well, we were in like this casino hotel kind of thing. And then jump on a small plane over to David. And then from there, we jump on a small boat, which takes us out to the lodge, which is then, you know, set up to be moving from location to location. So it's a bit of a mission, you know, you definitely have a full day on each end of travel, but once you're there, totally worth it.
No question.
Towards the ocean. So we're going to jump in the small boats and they're going to run us out there. We're going to spend the evening on the boat, get ourselves all geared up, have some dinner, and we'll be able to get fishing real early tomorrow morning. So
By the time they arrive at the barge, the sun is setting. The island of Paradis looms near, and Jim is dreaming of big roosters off the rocks. Stay tuned as Jim and the Millers prowl the rugged shorelines around Coiba for some big rooster fish.
Más grande! We're going to have an entire show of us sitting around in the rain.
Ocean Kayaks Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak, makers of the Trident and Ultra series of fishing kayaks, and the Torque, which features a removable Minn Kota motor. Check them out at oceankayak.com.
Oh, I'm going to pause that. So, yeah, I mean, we showed us in the rain there. When it rains, it rains. I mean, you're like breathing water.
You couldn't. I remember being gunnel to gunnel with Kelly in the kayaks, and we couldn't talk. We couldn't have a conversation 4 feet away. It was raining so hard. It was so loud, It's just
Right.
somebody could have had a fire hose on your head. You would have been drier, right?
Exactly. I mean, when it rains, it freaking rains.
Oh.
It all comes down. And of course it's hitting the water, it's hitting your hat, it's hitting the kayak.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is so loud. It's like a freight train going by.
Definitely. But it was warm. It wasn't cold. It was warm rain.
Well, exactly. I mean, you could paddle around in it and all that. But I mean, for instance, there was actually a lot of good fish caught during the rain that never made it on film because Will couldn't get his camera out of his dry bag to put it in its waterproof case. Yeah. Because it was just raining so hard. Yep. So like I said, it's just one of the things you deal with while you're in the tropics, I guess. But it's cool. I mean, like I say, things like I remember about Panama, particularly like being out on the islands and stuff. I mean, just the howler monkeys. You know, you're paddling around, fishing an area, and you got howler monkeys up in the trees, and spider monkeys, and the birds, and just
the smell of the flowers and the it's just it's intense. The howler monkeys, the birds for sure. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely an amazing place, and like I said, Costa Rica, Panama. I mentioned this because I did a Costa Rica episode just the other day. To me, the ecotourism is more embraced by Costa Rica. So particularly in a lot more of the areas of Costa Rica is still much more natural. Where Panama, it's embraced the Panama Canal. That's where it's making all its money, and it's much more industrial. It's not as clean. But once you get away from the towns and you get, out to these islands and all that, it's still just the nature and everything else is just amazing.
I don't remember seeing anybody else even out there fishing the time we were there.
No, not at all.
It was just us the whole time.
Yeah, and just to be able to put a kayak on Hannibal Bank, I mean, which is just famed for big tuna and marlin and everything else. This show, the Panama, this is 2 episodes actually. So I haven't gone back and watched, so I don't remember what's in this episode. But we got some big fish on this, and you particularly hooked a massive, massive fish. So if it comes up in the episode, we'll talk about it. If not, we'll talk about it anyway. But let's let her keep rolling.
Ocean Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Seagar, always the best in fluorocarbon. Now introducing 2 new world-class products, Kanzen Braid and Senchi monofilament lines. Check out all Seagar's fishing line options at seagar.com. This week, Jim Sammons is joined by old friends Craig and Kelly Miller for a Panamanian adventure. With rain bearing down on them the first morning, they wait patiently for a clearing so they can hit the shores of Coiba for some rooster fish.
Well, it's the very beginning of the rainy season, and it's raining. But worse than that, there's a lot of lightning. And the last thing you want to be is out in your kayak with rods sticking up with lightning going off. So we're just waiting until this passes, and we'll go out and get it.
It's been raining now for about 12 hours, so
yeah.
We might have a little bit of a wait.
Yeah, we're just waiting for it to pass. It's a passing
And I don't get wet, so it's not happily.
As fast as the weather rolls in, it rolls out again, and it's time to fish.
Made about 5 or 6 paddle strokes and hooked up on a nice big jag. I was in the water for about a minute, 30 seconds. I hadn't even taken my bogey grip out of my bag. I hadn't even taken my pliers out of my bag yet. We were already hooked up on big fish. A nice jag, dude. First fish of the trip. On the water for about 1 minute.
So we've been fighting the rain all morning, and finally it let up enough that we could come out here and troll some bays near Paritas Island. Been trolling around the outside a little bit, but I got in closer to the island, and that's where I started getting bit. And that's where I love to fish in close, where there's more turbulence. And those fish, when they hit like a freight train. In close with a lot of water movement, and just slow trolling like a caballito, a goggle eye, trolling them back behind the head so they're swimming down a little bit deeper, getting near that structure. And man, both times right in almost the exact same spot, I got those two fish. So hey guys, both of those fish were in pretty tight. Don't be afraid to come in close. The surf is not breaking.
A decent jack.
Yeah, man. Panama. Gotta love it. Rain, thunder. I could hear the thunder going as I was pulling on that fish. A lot of these fish are holding in this really
Freaking nasty ass needlefish.
Just slow trolling back
Everywhere.
and forth to the area where there's a lot of current, a lot of movement. There's bait up in here. You just have to be really careful and stay on top of your game, because you get hit by waves coming in, and then you get hit by waves coming back out that are rebounding off the island. So you just have to kind of stay on top of it, be really comfortable, and don't go in there unless you're really comfortable in your kayak.
That's a decent rooster.
Yeah, nice fish.
It's a little dicey in there. Look at that big rooster, man. That is a quality rooster fish. He's already got good color. We just need to make sure we keep him upright. Give him a minute. Oh yeah, he's twitching already. Swam right away. I love this place.
Yeah, it's a good start. Weather kind of got nasty after that and slowed down, but we have 4 more days left.
Look at that rain.
Sorting things out, working with new people, and but we couldn't have been happier. Even with the less than ideal conditions, we got hammered on by rain. We had quite a bit of wind, but we still got some really good fish. Stick around for more exciting kayak fishing with Pesca Panama after this message.
So that's the thing. I mean, the variety of fish you can catch there. Like I said, you fish the inside for those roosters and the jacks, and people don't give jacks a whole lot of respect, but I mean, they're fun as hell to catch.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Especially jacks that lived in that neighborhood. They seemed a little tougher than normal jacks, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah, when they're swimming in that type of water where there's that strong current and waves and all that, they just get stronger. I said that actually about I fished a place in Costa Rica where the roosters were holding to deep structure that had just ripping current, and those fish just seemed so much stronger.
Yep.
You know, I don't know if it's that they are stronger because they've been swimming that current, or they feel stronger because you're pulling against the current. But
yeah,
you know, when you get fish, and I said the same thing about like the yellowtail in New Zealand. I don't know if it's because they're always swimming, trying to escape all the sharks down there or what, but those fish just seem stronger.
Yeah. Of course, because you're on your 5th or 6th one in the morning. And you're
right.
Yeah,
it's not that one fish for the day. Alan Thompson says, thanks, Gene Wilson, for sharing this. I don't get notifications anymore for some reason. And again, that's what people aren't being notified of our videos and when we're on and what we're doing, our content. So thank you, Gene Wilson. Always a big supporter. And I ask you all if you can share this with your friends. And again, my understanding anyway is if you view the videos on Kayak Fishing Tales, our YouTube channel, and subscribe, you're more likely to get notified. That's my understanding anyway. But all I know is Facebook, again, is not sharing it to our fans. It's literally going out to less. Actually, I was talking to my producer the other day, and it was like 0.5%. I mean, it's just like it's insane. So we want you guys to see the videos. We like sharing this stuff with you, but you know, like I said, if you subscribe to Kayak Fishing Tales, that really helps. And again, if you can help us out by sharing it with your friends and, you know, interacting, comments, thumbs up, all that fun stuff, it really, really helps. Black Flag Fishing, what network does Kayak Fishing Show air on? We are on the World Fishing Network, although I'm not sure how much right now. And again, the thing is, we haven't shot a show in a year. I literally shot my show. My last episode I shot was in February of last year. So it's been a while. So anyway, but we are on Fox Sports nationally. So whether it's Fox Sports West, Fox Sports San Diego, Fox Sports, whatever town you happen to be in, we are airing on Fox Sports. So if you check with them, I know we aired about 1,000 times last year, but because we haven't shot any new episodes, nothing is airing at the moment. So they're waiting on new content. So hopefully that starts soon. Gene Wilson says, beautiful rooster. Yeah, we love our roosters. And again, I can't thank you enough, Gene, for always being a big supporter. And Alan, thank you as well. I appreciate it. So anyway, we'll keep her going. Past the commercial part of this.
Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Mustad, featuring the Hook a Million state and world record contest with $1.4 million up for grabs. Haul in a record, haul off the cash. Free registration at mustadhookamillion.com.
We've been targeting rooster fish down here in Panama, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the setup I like to use. For a reel, I got the Akuma Andros 5. It's a nice small reel, but plenty powerful, and it's a 2-speed if the fight gets down and dirty, plus a lever drag.
Yeah, no.
I have a 7-foot Mercuro rod, so I can reach around the bow of the boat if I need
That
to.
actually was a sweet
Plenty
little
of
reel.
pulling power here. Rigging on the
But
line, I've got...
As updated, like I said, this is season 3. We're in season 12. I use Siegler reels, and for any of those fish down there, the reels I go with are the SG small game narrow really has become my go-to reel. I mean, I've landed 100-pound tuna on that tiny little reel. You guys have probably heard me talk about it before, but that SGN is so comfortable to fish with, so powerful. And with that Andros, you know, I kind of hesitate kind of taking it apart, doing any kind of work on it. The Sieglers, they're bulletproof, but they are so easy to work on as well. And that's one of my favorite things. Kayak anglers are super hard on our gear, and being able to tear apart your own reels and clean them out is huge. And the thing is, what Wes Siegler has done with his reels, he's eliminated so many parts on them to make them so simple on the inside so that anybody can work on them. And there's not all these parts to go wrong. So, yeah, the SGN is really become one of my favorite reels. If you need more line capacity, jump up to the LGN, which is the large game narrow. Great for vertical jigging, any of that. So anyway, we were sponsored by Akuma for one season of my show, and we moved on to Siegler reels. So still good stuff. All my bait casters, my low profile bait casters, are still all Akuma and great stuff. But I just prefer the Siegler reels for that big game stuff.
Up with cans and 60-pound test, and I'm going to fill my reel completely up with that, and then go with a top shot of Seagar fluorocarbon. For rooster fish, generally 40-pound test is plenty, and I'm going to put about a 30-foot leader on there. At the business end, Mustad 8-aught Demon Perfect circle hook, and that's going to get into the corner of that fish's mouth every time so I can get a good catch and release. So that's my rundown on gear for this week's rooster fishing. Check it out.
With arms weary.
So I'll just answer this question right now. Do you prefer the ringed version of the Perfect Circles? By the way, I have a couple of Siegler reels, and that's awesome. Ringed hooks are awesome. I mean, there's no doubt. You get better motion on your lures and on your bait. They're expensive. I tie a loop knot. You know, I can get the same action out of having a loop knot as I can by having a ringed hook. So that's the route I go. Save a few bucks on the ringed hooks by learning how to tie a good loop knot. And I learned my loop knot from Alonso Castro Maclees down in Mexico. Sure. It's super easy to knot, and it never fails on me. So that's my thoughts on that.
From a long day of crazy weather conditions, it's time to pack up and re-energize back at the Pesca Panama barge.
We had a good day. We're not bragging or anything, but we had a good day.
After running luxury fishing trips in Alaska for years, Captain Jay Guston decided it was time to change things up and focus on a warmer destination.
And almost all the time, either the wet season or dry season, there's something in flower. You see these tropical trees in flower. I mean, you just sit back and take a breath. It's pretty amazing. It's so beautiful.
Panama's stunning countryside, incredibly friendly people, and its world-class fishing made it the ideal location for a sport fishing operation. When combined with Jay's passion for providing the ultimate fishing experience, the result was Pesca Panama Sport Fishing, one of the most unique and luxurious sport fishing operations you'll find anywhere.
What kind of fish do people come out here to target?
Well, the thing is kind of evolved on us. When we first came here, we came down here for black marlin fishing and yellowfin tuna, big yellowfin tuna, because that's what this area was noted for. But as we got here and drawing on our experience of fishing our whole lives, we had structure here that we don't see in the Pacific a lot of times. This is all volcanic islands with a lot of outcroppings. And so as we started fishing the area, we developed a very strong inshore fishery that coincides with the offshore fishery. And so we have been able to come up with a kind of a mixed bag of stuff. We have over 30 different species of fish, and we can either fish offshore, inshore, topwater, bottom fishing. It just really has a lot of variety to offer to people. And I think that mixed bag approach to the fishing and the fish that we catch is our strong points that we've developed here.
At the center of the Pesca Panama operation is an old barge, which they've converted into a luxury mobile fishing lodge. Now, while guests are out fishing all day, this mothership moves from location to location, which provides anglers with easy access to endless fishing spots and minimizes the travel time. After a big meal and a few celebratory drinks, Jim, Craig, and Kelly decide to turn in for the night and get a good night's sleep in preparation for the big day on the water tomorrow. Stay tuned as the team heads out to Hannibal Banks on the hunt for huge tuna.
Do not throw food over my head, dude.
Ocean Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show with Jim Sammons will be right back after these messages.
Why, dude? It's fun.
Why do anything? I actually think there were rocks in the water in front of us in that cove, and we were throwing food down. They were coming up and getting it, if I remember right. So I was hucking stuff over your head to the crocs. So. Well, or no, sharks, maybe nurse sharks. I don't remember. Something was in their water.
Yeah, there were really big nurse sharks would sit right behind the back of the boat where they would wash the dishes. They would just scrape off all the leftovers and stuff. And those nurse sharks just sat right on, and they were huge.
Huge, yeah. And clean fish. When we clean fish back there, when they clean fish back there, they throw
right.
Come up and so pretty cool.
Yeah, so much cool stuff to see out there. There's Ray Kelly is watching from Palm Beach, Florida. Thanks for watching, Ray. And he, again, is watching from Kayak Fishing Tales. So I appreciate that. Brian Young says he's going back to Panama August 1st. Great place. And like I said, I mean, this operation is so different. And I've been to Panama a lot with different organizations. And this one was so epic because you went to different places. With Paddle Panama, where I've been on their trips. Again, very unique. We, went to their place, very southern Panama. And then there's Los Buzos, which is, there's probably not a better dialed in kayak fishing place that is dialed in for kayak fishing in Panama. Their guide service, the location is absolutely awesome. So you have a lot of different choices if you go down to Panama. But like I said, if you want someplace that's dialed in to cater to kayak anglers, it's hard to beat Los Buzos for sure. Kelly says Ray Kelly says I fished Guatemala and Costa Rica and wants to get to Panama. Yeah, like I said, you would never regret it. And yeah, nurse sharks are the cleanup crew. They certainly were, and they were just so massive. I mean, and we saw some big bull sharks while we were down there as well. So it made Will rethink about jumping in the water to film fish.
Yeah. Ocean Kayaks Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Okuma Fishing Tackle. It's your day. Make the most of it with Okuma Fishing Tackle. Inspiring design meets stunning performance. Check out Okuma's full line of rods, reels, and fishing accessories at okumafishing.com.
At Siegler
With a
Fishing.
great first day of fishing behind them, Jim Sammons, Craig, and Kelly Miller have their sights set on big tuna. For 2 years, Jim has dreamed of getting another shot at fighting and landing a big tuna unassisted. To do the job, he's come up with a new tuna landing system that he's excited to try out.
We ran the boat out to Hannibal Bank. It's 15 miles from Coiba Island. So obviously, if you want to fish this area, there's no way to paddle out here.
Looking for the action. Looking for the tuna.
It doesn't take long for Captain Tommy to find Jim a pod of dolphins and a flock of birds. And where you find these guys, you'll almost certainly find tuna.
Oh, yeah.
Some people say, "Oh, that's not pure." It's like, I use a card to get to the beach, to get to the area I'm going to fish. And this is the same thing. We put the kayaks in the water, we troll, we do everything from the kayak, but we use the boat to get to certain locations. So, our last trip to Panama, one of my biggest regrets, and I got the big tuna, but one of my biggest regrets was that I wasn't able to actually land it by myself. That's as a kayak angler, that's part of it, is hook, fight, land, solo. So I talked to my friends at Neptonics, and they're freediving specialty shop, and he made up this float and shock cord for me for this harpoon that my good friend Howard gave me that he used for halibut. So I thought maybe if I use this, I could land, 100+ pound tuna by myself. The harpoon is a removable tip. It's a slip tip harpoon. So when I stick the fish, the tip will stay off. The tip will come off and ideally stay in the fish. That's why you use these floats that are torpedo shaped, so it doesn't put a whole lot of pressure on that tip and rip it out. Well, it's in him. I can see how this system will work on a big fish, He's fighting that buoy now. He's not fighting it. You can see there's very little bend in my rod. Yeah. I like it. I like the way that worked.
That was crazy. You guys said go more to your left, and I started paddling. I was going over the swells. I came to the top of the swell, and the water was just boiling about 30 or 40 feet in front of me, and there were big yellowfins jumping. There's 10 or 15 of them jumping out of there. About 2 seconds later, I kept paddling towards as hard as I could. About 2 seconds later, that reel just starts screaming.
As I said, I wanted to take a little bit of a break. Kelly hadn't gotten a fish yet, and she just kept trolling and trolling. We saw the porpoise school coming, and we're like just waiting and waiting for her to get bit. And she did it perfect. She just stayed right on the right angle, put herself right in front of the porpoise, and boom. It was so cool because we saw it hook up, and we saw the porpoise jump right behind her. Oh.
That's the perfect size. That's a fun size tuna.
Well, I'm a huge believer in catch and release fishing. I also love to eat fish, so sometimes I'll decide to keep one for the dinner table. For landing bigger game fish like tuna, dorado, yellowtail, one of your best landing tool is a gaff. A gaff is basically a pole with a sharp hook on the end. Now, gaffs come in a variety of sizes, but I generally like a shorter gaff because I want to be able to pull that fish right up out of the water. And a smaller gaff on the kayak's just easier to manage. I generally use a gaff that's about 2 feet long so that I can actually gaff the fish and pull it out of the water in one motion. This reduces the chances that the fish will buck itself off the gaff. One consideration when you get a gaff, make sure it floats, because I guarantee you won't have it long if it doesn't. Now, the act of gaffing a fish is actually quite simple and only becomes easier as the fish gets tired. So it's a good idea to let that fish play itself out. Once it's tired, bring the fish alongside your kayak and make sure to leave at least a rod's length of line out. Now, when you're gaffing, one of the things you want to understand is that you don't swing down at the fish. This can catch on your line and possibly snap it off. So when you're going to gaff that fish, make sure that the hook is pointed out away from you. That way you don't accidentally gaff yourself or put a hole in your kayak. Now, I like to gaff fish just back of the head because it's a very solid position on the fish. So I'll let the fish circle around underneath the kayak until it's at the right angle. When the time comes, don't be gentle. Unless it's a really big fish, the force of the gaff shot should pull the fish right out of the water. And remember, keep that hook pointed away from you. It's really easy, if it's in the wrong position, to accidentally stick yourself in the leg as you're dragging it across the boat. For obvious safety reasons, when you're not using the gaff, when it's just sitting around the kayak, you want to make sure you keep that sharp point covered. I find a tennis ball works really well for this. Now, something you really need to be aware of, in some areas and for some certain species of fish, gaffs aren't legal to use. So really make sure you're aware of the regulations for the species you're fishing for and the area you're fishing in. Like I said at the beginning, I'm a big advocate of catch and release angling. But if you're going to gaff and keep a fish, only keep what you can use that day. Until next time, I'm Jim Sammons, and that's your kayak fishing tip of the week.
For more tips and your chance to win a fantastic kayak fishing package that includes an Ocean Kayak Trident fishing kayak and ex officio clothing, visit kayakfishingshow.com.
Oh, gosh. That's fun. I mean, how many of those can you catch in a day?
I don't know, man. A bunch? But how many can your arm handle?
Take it out. Take it out, for sure.
With a successful tuna fishing day coming to an end, the team heads back to Pesca Panama to taste the fruits of their labors.
Some might say I'm a glasses snob, but I spend an awful lot of time on the water and I want to wear the very best. And that's why I use Maui Jim.
And I still do.
Maui Jim joined forces with Guy Hart.
And they don't even give me any.
Design and some of his wonderful artwork on the glasses.
Done with them.
Still a good product.
Oh, they're awesome. They are hands down the best glasses, the best lenses. Of those Maui Jims?
Coincidentally, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I still wear them, but you know, I like to have the best when it comes to glasses. If you spend as much time out on the water and out in the sun, you know, you got to protect your eyes. So, yeah, like I said, it wasn't in this episode. The part 2 of this will be airing next Thursday, but we got on some big fish, and
yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about it now. We can talk about your. Craig hooked into a very large black marlin.
Yep.
And I mean, that's just such a big, powerful fish. And what do you describe the experience? Because it was so different than any marlin catch I had ever had. And I've dealt with like 48 marlin on a kayak, and this one was totally different.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 or 3 marlin and a sailfish or 2. So it was way large. It was a cow, right? It was a small cow. It was 300 pounds maybe.
At least, yeah.
I heard it. I heard the water swirling when it came up to take the bait. It was so big. I knew there was something back there because I could hear the splashing around. I don't think I've ever heard that before. And when it took off, it was kind of like oh, now what, right? Kind of a moment. But then they run out and they jump and do all that kind of cool stuff that we chase them to see. But then after the initial run or 2, it just didn't even care I was there. I mean, it was bigger than I am, right? So he was really passive and he didn't fight that much. He just swam and swam. I'd reel myself up to him and he'd realize I was there and he'd just take off again. But it was like he couldn't be bothered with me, right? He was so big.
Yeah, it was so different. Like I said, I just remember you're like, Jim, I don't know what to do because
Yeah.
I can literally wind myself to this fish anytime I want.
Yep. Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't land it. You can't do anything with it at that point because this fish hasn't fought. It's not tired. It's just swimming along like we're not even there. I mean, it is just, it was the weirdest fight I've ever seen with a billfish. Like I said, it just, now if we wanted to slide up there and harpoon it, kill it, whatever, that'd be a different story. But to grab the bill and do what we normally do just to get a photo, right? It would have killed us.
I think so. Yeah, that's the thing. I guess if I have one regret from that whole trip, I probably just would have wound myself up on top of it and touched the leader to get, the fish to catch. But it was so big and it was so passive until the very end. And we'd put pressure on it. And I think you and I kind of
remember I did the T-bone thing. A lot of times what I'll do if somebody's on a marlin to put more pressure on it, I'll put my kayak behind theirs, so their kayak's going straight, and then I'll put mine sideways at the back of it and hold onto the back of their boat, so it's pulling my boat sideways. And this fish still didn't care. It just kept swimming. I hooked up a tow rope, and so I was trying to paddle backwards. I was trying to pull you backwards to put more pressure on that way. It still didn't care. And I think we were on the fish a couple of hours.
Oh yeah, 2.5, 3 hours, right?
Yeah, and it was starting to get dark. I mean, it was like, and we had a long run to get back to the lodge.
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh, what are we gonna do to get this fish to actually fight?
Yeah,
and so it's like, okay, well, let's hook the kayak up to the support boat.
Yeah,
just so it would have that added weight.
Yeah.
Something to pull against. And man, as soon as we hooked you up and it felt all that weight, it jumped it jumped 3 times or something and straightened the hook that we were using. Big old 11-aught hook. It just straightened it out. Gone.
Gone. You always have a lot of respect for those things, and you get up close to them, you hold them in your lap, and you realize how cool they are. To see something like that or feel something like that, it's a new level of respect. Those fish are awesome.
Yeah,
those fish are awesome.
So much fun. So again, folks, we'll have part 2 of this episode next Thursday. Next Tuesday, I've got part 2 of our Costa Rica trip. And on Wednesday, again, we've got our special episode with the folks from NRS, and you'll have a chance to win some free gear from NRS during that show. So we're going to go over the NRS products, kind of talk to some of the team members, talk about why NRS is so cool, all the great products they have. So, Craig, thank you so much for joining me, man. That was really fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Make sure you join us next Tuesday. If you're available, I'll get you back on here for the next episode if you're around. If not, or next Thursday, I should say, for part 2.
Cool. Thanks, Jim. See you later.
All right, man. Take care. Well, again, thanks everybody for joining us. And again, if you can, please, I feel like I'm begging, but share our shows with your friends. Help us get that reach that we really need. Because like I said, Facebook isn't help us any. I'm curious to see how many of you people actually saw the preliminary show I did on this that was native Facebook, where I had my green screen behind me. And again, Kayak Fishing Tales, subscribe over there so you're more likely to get notified. I think you're more likely to get notified if you belong to the Kayak Fishing Show group as well. So let's try all those things. But again, if you can help us out, always the interaction during the shows, the thumbs up and sharing with your friends really, really helps. Excuse me. Gene says, great show. Always learn something new. And I always appreciate you being here, Gene, and as well as everybody else. Again, if you are going out on the water this week, please remember, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. We'll see you next week. Take care.